I just woke up for a nap from a nap, and I only have like 38 minutes to stream, so I'm doing it. Hope there's no delays. If there's any single delay, I'm just gonna get off.
Batman Arkham Knight on PS4, Xbox One, and PC.
Ooh.
The PC version was unique at the time in that it was an absolute train wreck at a time when the PC version of a game was always considered to be the best version.
Yeah.
That,
like, in my mind, it's always like if you get it for console, if like you're dumb, you know, or you have like a small brain, or you live in a house made out of rocks, like a Flintstones. But like you buy PC games, that's of course what you do.
is not how things are anymore. In the 7 years that have passed since then, the idea of the PC version of the game being the best version has evaporated into thin air. It's gone. Instead, we are really seeing tons of issues when we play games on PC nowadays. So, well, let's just get into it. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today tons of issues when we play games on PC nowadays. So, well, let's just get into it. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game Ranks, we ask the question, what the hell is going on with PC ports? So,
Yeah, this is
I'm
how
not
Wu Long
necessarily
was.
sure I would call Arkham Knight our flashpoint for this issue. Although, it's a nice little trip down memory lane if you want to go back to our very first Before You Buy, where Jake reviewed the console version of the game and mentioned the whole controversy with the PC one, but was pretty safely nestled away in the good version of the game, where PC games became a big business again, and they intentionally developed games side by side with one another.
Let me make sure all this saved.
With the intent to do well on both. Arkham Knight actually
Exactly,
came
that's
out
how it
during
should
this
be.
era, and generally, PC ports I don't think were at their worst. But if one can remember back to the 90s, things looked a lot more similar to how they do now.
Yeah,
Back
that's
in
it.
those
Nah, bro. Like back in the 90s, like you would buy King's Quest 3 and you would put in the disc and it wouldn't work. Or it would like reformat your fucking computer. It's like you've got to fucking call IBM and you're on the phone with some engineer that like doesn't know how to, he's not a people person. He doesn't know how to talk to the customer. He doesn't fucking know how to explain to you what to do. He doesn't really know what's wrong with it. He doesn't even like you. And he makes it very obvious. Like, yeah, absolutely. I remember my mom had to deal with this a few times.
days, PC architecture and console architecture was completely different. An Intel Pentium was nothing like a Sega Genesis, which was running on a Motorola processor dropped into an adaptation of Sega's System 16 arcade board, or Super Nintendo, which was just an entirely custom processor built by Nintendo. In fact, this was basically the problem with PC ports up through the PS3 and the Xbox 360. The fact was,
Yeah, I feel like now they're a lot more similar.
consoles and PC were just
Yes, I think
fundamentally different things.
Absolutely.
So it made sense that Sonic 3 and Knuckles on PC, the original port, was terrible. Because every PC port from a console game was terrible. But sometime in that Xbox 360 PS3 era, developers were just like, you
Oh
know
boy, a
what?
buff.
PCs are better, and these consoles suck to develop on.
True.
Let's make the PC version better. And we actually
Thank
saw
God.
that a fair amount. Still, when a game would come out on consoles first, like, say, Dead Space back in 2008, apparently.
That's a long time
I
ago.
know we talked about the Dead Space remake a bunch recently, but I always forget how old that game is because it just holds up so well. Still, the
That
PC
was
version
great
of
for
that
2008.
was
Holy
exemplary of the problems of PC
Damn.
ports of console-only games because, well, basically had to just make the game again. How many people have ever played GTA 4 on PC? There
Never.
are guides, not to how to beat the game. Like, these walkthroughs are not about playing the game. They're about letting you play the game.
Oh, this is.
They did
not
just start the
anything that's
server,
a
though.
Surprise. I had to deal with this with Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2, like, be able to. It's harder to play the game and have the controls work than it is to actually beat the game. It's the same thing with Final Fantasy 14. It was harder to buy the game than beat Savage.
Somebody already bought that?
Like, we did the Savage Alexander raid. That shit was easy compared to being able to buy the game.
Seriously, guides for getting the game to run smoothly on a modern PC.
Whatever.
This is a game that came out like 15 years ago for just vastly inferior hardware. But that was the PS3, Xbox 360 era. When the PS4 and the Xbox One came
Oh
out
shit,
with
that's not what I
much
meant
more
to do.
similar
Get off my
architecture
friends
than
list.
PCs, the PS4 and the Xbox One both had x86 CPU architecture, which basically makes them not far from being a PC. I mean, it doesn't make them PCs, but
yeah, I feel like this was kind of, and the first one that happened was like, I remember the Xbox had like a console menu, and you could play music or you could play games on it and stuff like that. I don't remember if the PS2 had that or not. I straight up do not remember. But I know the Xbox did, and it was fucking badass. It was so cool. I remember me and Zach, we'd sit in his grandma's house, and we'd listen to the fucking Nirvana greatest hits playing Halo 1. Combat Evolved.
the similarities are much more vast. Like, the thing that makes a PS3 similar to a PC is that they are electronics. They have CPUs.
Yeah,
but
they
once
cost
you
the
get
same
into
amount of
the
money.
actual mechanics of how they work, they're actually pretty different on a functional level, you know, inside the chips. That stopped with the PS4 and the Xbox One. For a while,
There you go.
I don't think this was actually to the detriment to PC.
I realized it a
In
typo
fact,
the first
I think
time.
it actually provided a bit of an argument for prioritizing PC development. Hey, we can make the game on PC and then just sort of adapt to the specific hardware of these two consoles
Sure.
and strip back without having to do a whole lot in terms of code. I'm definitely oversimplifying to some extent, but it's a lot
get it.
closer to that than in the previous console generations.
Yeah, sure.
That being said, although I'm sure
that?
that tons of executives that don't know what they're talking about heard that type of simplification and thought, well, that's it. All of our problems have been solved.
Done.
There are still different.
Basically, once this video's over, I'm getting off.
See, probably the most.
I know that. The difference now is that the game works on console and it doesn't work on PC. That's the main difference. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of new games recently, and it seems like that is a very common feature.
Notable one is how memory works. Now, I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but the key here is that PCs have both dedicated system memory and VRAM as well. What makes that different from a console is that consoles just got memory, man. There is no dedicated memory in a console. All of the memory is used by all of the things. So in
Okay.
terms of development, this is a pretty major difference. So a PC having more memory total
Because
doesn't
it's better.
necessarily make it better at
What? No. What?
running something that was written for a console. In fact, due to the split nature of
no.
its RAM, actually has a little bit of extra work.
No.
When you've got two sets of memory, you got to figure out where everything is going to go. And a lot of the time, something needs to go to both places at different times. So, once again, we have two diverging sets of code, the PC version and the console. Keeping in mind that having the x86 architecture still makes it vastly more similar than at any time in the past. So here's where I start to think that it gets really interesting. You would think that consoles moving to the x86 architecture would make people think, well, we can do the PC version and scale down.
Yep.
It kind of seems to have had the opposite effect, and now it seems like there are a lot more games that are developed console first and scaled up. More like the 1990s, like I said, coming full circle, things are more like then, albeit for different reasons.
I fucking hate that. I'm gonna be honest. I think consoles suck. I think they are restrictive. And if there weren't
Also, I'm not gonna play games like Football Manager or Metal Gear Solid or Red Dead until I have some time to commit to them, and I probably won't have that at all this week.
exclusive.
So it's just gonna be
games,
WoW
keeping them on life support,
in
they would
45
just
minute to
not
an
be
hour intervals.
financially viable. And I find it to be extremely fucking frustrating that because of this fucking business that they have, that they are keeping an outdated, like, fucking idea on life support just by making the games exclusive to that console. It is extremely fucking annoying. Now, I know I have a console. I've got multiple consoles, right? I've used them. But, like, goddamn, the exclusive games and this annoying shit with having it on PC, and there's other beneficial things to having it on console. I fucking hate that. As somebody who's on PC, I don't want to have to buy a whole new console just to play the game in a way that's functional. Like, anybody who emulates or pirates a fucking video game because it's on console only, I think that's totally fine. I don't give a fuck.
Reasons. I mean, technically different reasons. If you want to talk about what's really driving it, it's all business. In
Consoles
the
a hindrance to the
1990s, they were
gaming industry?
developing
It
things
is.
on the console
Sucks.
first because they were going to sell more games on the consoles, and the PC was such a different architecture, it was kind of an afterthought. Now, when the architecture is so similar, they've gone through a couple of cycles where they've rethought this stuff and then arrived back at the conclusion, we sell more copies of the games on the consoles, so we should develop there first. And somebody's going to interpret that as it's corporate greed, man. And anybody who's paid any degree of attention to me over the years I've been involved in game ranks, you know my opinion on corporate greed. I don't think I need to justify what I'm about to say by reminding you specifically about what I've said in the past, but I actually kind of don't think it's corporate greed. This is a very practical decision. The fact is, a PC, although much more powerful, much more flexible, and capable of so many different things, it's not a gaming machine, and a gaming console is. That being said, I PC game more than I do console game now at this point in my life. I prefer it, and I think that it's better. But practically speaking, it makes perfect sense that the consoles are being prioritized. Why? Because there's 3 sets of hardware. 2 if you're talking the ones that actually have any beef whatsoever. The Switch really is not a beefy console at this point. But when you make a game for the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series, you are locked to specifications. The hardware is the same in every PlayStation 5. When you design a game for the PlayStation 5...
I could see that making it a lot easier. He's totally right about this. Absolutely.
There's little quirks and eccentricities that all interact with each other and allow you to eke out certain performance gains in certain areas, and there's certain detriments that you have to avoid in certain ways.
It's uniform.
And it will always be the same on that hardware. Even when they release the PlayStation 5 Plus, it's gonna be compatible hardware that's a little bit better. All the same stuff is still gonna apply. It is not a radically different configuration, and no matter how much more powerful PCs are, the number of configurations that exist in PC gaming is staggering. It's probably not countable. It's that high. Compared to
infinite.
1 for the PlayStation 5. 2.
Yeah, so, like, you can easily see why they're going to develop it for console first. Like, absolutely, it makes sense. Sure. Because it's easier to do, because it's a uniform system and you don't have to worry about so many other variables. Absolutely. Of course, yeah, I totally understand that.
For the Xbox Series, you have the S and the X, and eventually you're going to throw in the upgraded versions of both of these consoles, but still, you can count it on a single hand. Unless you have a spreadsheet and understand formulas, it's unlikely you're even going to be able to figure out how many different configurations there are in the PC gaming world.
Yes.
I don't know if you can. I really don't. I'm not going to try, personally. It's not important information. But just from the perspective of shaders, according to Wikipedia, a shader
is that what we're doing now?
Program that calculates the appropriate levels of light, darkness, and color for the rendering of a 3D
It
scene.
shades things.
Shaders tend to be different based on GPU rendering pipelines. So, hey, how many different GPUs are there in the various consoles? 1. The the shader's gonna be the damn same all the time on a console game.
Yep.
So guess what you do? You write a shader that's compatible with that console. Granted, you're probably going to write different shaders for different locations because in terms of environmental effects, things are often different in different places in the game. But those shaders are all going to be written for the same graphics pipeline
All
and
this
don't
makes
require
sense.
any kind of adaptation. Shaders, on the other hand, for the PC, have to continually be adapted for different configurations. So a PC game is continually recompiling shaders
Correct.
as you visit new areas in a game. That is, of course, work being done that could be done doing anything else. Now, in a perfect world, budgets and deadlines would be set up so that the version of the game that comes out for each platform is the best it can possibly be.
I'm gonna see if I can do this
As
quest up
we
here yet.
know, that is not how things go. Even
This session
though
might
it
just be
is
me
only released
traveling
on
from one
PC
point to another, minus me
Yeah,
killing
that's
that
never how things
paladin
go.
back there.
Actually, it's not. Yeah, that never happens.
consoles. We are very often seeing games released in incomplete states. So when you
By
have
the way, just real quick, I don't want to have like any slander on here. Real quick, let me see. Can I go back to this other one? Halo 2. This is the cover of Halo 2. Halo 2 was not rushed at all. It was a perfect game on release. There's nothing wrong with the game at all.
when you have a game exist across these two different paradigms, the one that's most likely to make the most money, generally the one that is geared specifically towards the function of playing a game, is going to be the one that gets the attention first. And I don't want that to read as a defense, however, because frankly, I think we're all fed up with both of the issues I just talked about.
Yeah.
A, incomplete games being released, and B, PC ports of games coming out and sucking. Like,
Yeah, like, I would rather a game not be out on PC than have it come out and for it to be bad. Because I think that's bad for the game. As soon as people see that the game is bad, that's it. People are going to say Wild Hearts doesn't run well on PC in a year. Even after everything that was making it bad is fixed. Because it's that first impression, everybody sees it then, they're like, oh, it's bad. Okay, well then there it is, it's done.
think that people
It's
are actually
counterproductive.
starting to get to a point where it's too much. And as game
Yeah.
budgets get bigger and scope expands, the question I feel like we're starting to ask isn't, hey, can you stop delaying the games? Like it has been in the past. Like delays have started to get pretty irritating. The question we're starting to ask more is, hey, executives, can you give the damn developers enough time so that all of the versions of the game that we get are completed before we get them? Like I did the before you buy on Wild Hearts.
I don't think this is necessarily executives. I think there's also developers and teams that just want to get the game out as fast as possible, like just on their own terms. It's not even really the executive. I mean, like sometimes it is. I'm saying that like not every time it is. I think there's a lot of cases where the developers are just like, all right, let's put it out. It's good enough. Here we go. It's taken too long. Let's just get it out there. And they do, and it's super fucking counterproductive.
Oh,
like
shit.
League Faith had that. Remember that? Holy fuck.
Is a fantastic game that exhibits both of these issues.
I mean, that wasn't
hard.
executives.
And it's a big enough slap in the face. The game was basically released incomplete everywhere. But for those of us who would prefer to play the game on PC, myself included, we get a special level of bad. Again, not bad in terms of the game. I'd had nothing but praise for this game. It's just, this has become such a standard, normal issue for multi-platform releases. And I know at this point, this is kind of just a rant, but any
Yeah.
developers or publishers,
What the
and
fuck?
especially any executives who happen to be watching this, I think you could really, really engender a lot of goodwill by
How's it going?
simply carving out timetables for development that allow you to give the PC port enough attention that it's good. At least as good as
And it's like if one of the ports is bad, like the Xbox port is bad, everybody is going to be talking about how bad the Xbox port is or the PC port. For example, if you look at Lu Wong, I think this is a great example. If you go and you look at it on like Steam or you look at reviews for the game, most of the people online have reviewed it negatively. And they've reviewed it negatively, like a lot of the user reviews, because of the PC port issues, which are documented, like they're bad. So like what happens is that a person, even if they're going to buy it on console, they see the user review number that says 5.3 and they're on to the next game. So I think it has a very tangible negative effect on games whenever they get released like that.
Another motherfucker.
The console version. But then that brings us into the whole unfinished game issue, which is, it goes beyond this, obviously. Let's use this issue as a start point for our conversations in the comment section, though. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. The best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video.
Damn, I didn't even finish my full rotation. It just kind of fell over.
Next time, right here on Game Ranks.
There's a part of me, I wonder what would happen if a console had every, like, is it worth it for Microsoft to make an Xbox? Because every single Xbox game can be playable on PC.
Yeah, because there's still people out there that are PC literate, apparently.
This is a good video. It definitely is. I don't know if it is or not. Kinda, they lose money on the hardware too. Yeah, so it's like, why do you make the Xbox? Like, what's the point for it? I wish that everybody would just move over and just fucking play games on PC and have PC be the benchmark. Because I think PC gives the user so much more control over the game. It basically makes it to where, like, you can mod the game, you can download different things for the game, you can change.
I'm assuming I have to kill these guys.
You have a higher ceilings and lower floors in terms of graphics options. I just think it's better in pretty much all ways. You don't have to buy a new one every like 4 or 5 years based off of some arbitrary time period that's set by like a multi-billion-dollar company. It just sucks, man.
You gotta buy a new graphics card. You gotta pretty much buy a whole new everything.
A game is... like, I don't think there is any upside for the end user, the customer of video games, that video games are console exclusives. I think every single time that a video game is exclusive to a console, it is bad for gaming. Absolutely. I can't see a single positive for just an average player. And I'm not talking like, what's the upside for Sony? Of course Sony has an upside for this. But why the fuck do I, as the consumer, care about what Sony's upside is whenever my needs aren't being met? So, yeah, now everybody can afford a gaming PC every few years. Console's cheaper and lasts for longer. I think a console is cheaper for now.
1 second. Make a point on that. I think I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. I have to look up specific dates. Oh, so that's roughly 7 years. Wow. The gap between the PS4 and the PS5 is the same as the PS3 and the PS4. That's weird. Maybe it's because I didn't actually own a PS4 or an Xbox One. I didn't even notice this. Because I remember, like, during the PS3 and 360 days, it felt like they were milking those consoles to death. Like, it got to the point at the end where they had to do some ridiculous shit, developers, at least the ones that cared, had to do some ridiculous shit to make the games even run on those consoles if they're porting them from PC. Oh, you just gotta burn it up. So where do I get this sap? I don't know. It just seemed like they could have gotten more life out of the PS4 than they did. But I guess I'm wrong. One advantage the PC does have to the console though, and it will always have this advantage, is the sheer number of games. So even if your graphics card isn't like as good as it used to be, well, there's still all these other games way back here that you never played, like Rainbow Six Rogue Spear or Arma or Sims, you know? So is the drop rate just really bad? I'm confused. I need 15 of these things and they're not dropping. I'm about to look it up after this. Alright, where are these fucking things? Oh shit. I'm on the wrong thing. Here we go. Yeah, I'm looking for Blood Amber. Yep. And it is dropped by, oh, not even these guys. Oh, it's dropped by. Okay, yeah, I could have just read the quest text and knew that killing those didn't do anything. I might actually get a PS4 at some point. There's actually a lot of ports on there, or a lot of games on there that were never ported. I can't name any off the top of my head, but like I'm sure I could find some. Maybe. I don't know. I still can't find these things. Oh, here they are. What are you casting? Nothing, apparently. Oh, okay, roots. Okay. That makes sense. Apparently, it's a good drop rate, like 80-something% according to Wowhead. But that's obviously not the true value. That's just a rough estimate. Obviously, most people are luckier than me when it comes to drops. So there might be a rare mob in here. I'm gonna go kill him. No, you stay there. Oh. Except I can do that, bitch. Increase the damage of your next fire spell up to 100. I never saw the up to part before. Hopefully that implies like based on if it's like a dot or something. I'm probably gonna have to take on 2 of them at once, but that's okay. No? Alright. Whatever. Anybody else alt tab while they're drinking? I do. Anyway, I'm gonna kill this one, and then I'm gonna try to put myself in between a couple spawns here. And then I'm gonna be getting off. And I will most likely not be back on later tonight. Oh, this is actually quite nice. Yeah. Oh, wait. There's somebody in here. And I don't think he has a guild. He's actually quite dead. That's a bummer. Anyway.